Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to our Breakfast with series. What started off as Breakfast with Gene, our a 75-year-old ultra runner who was taking a shot at the Western States, has now morphed into a full series where we get to talk to some of our fantastic ambassadors and other friends and people who just inspire us, and share a bowl of oatmeal and talk all things fun and active. There we go. Yeah, I've got Buck and A, or for you Americans, Buck Wild this
Yeah,
morning.
love it.
So today it's my pleasure to be eating breakfast with Corey Bellemore. Corey's been a longtime ambassador of Stoked Oats. He lives out in southwestern Ontario in Windsor, and Corey is basically a track star from way back, and he's gained recent notoriety for his beer miling skills, of which he holds the World Beer Miling Championship. So Corey, welcome to Breakfast with Stoked Oats. Happy to have you, and let's kick this sucker off.
Yeah, Simon, thanks for having me. I think it's great what you're doing with the podcast, and yeah, certainly hard to follow the footsteps of someone who's been part of Western Stakes, but I'll do my best here.
Different pace of racing. Kind of have to slow it down when you're going long distance. And yeah, I mean, Gene is he's just a legend in his own right. He'll race everything from the mile all the way up to, he was knocking off a 100-miler in Wyoming just 2 weeks ago. So he takes all distances in stride and just loves being out there. So Corey, let's just dive into running. You know, you've got a big history in the track space. I believe you're a Windsor alum, and was on the track team there. But how'd you get into running, and why did you settle on whatever distance that you settled on?
Yeah, so I grew up with a twin brother. We were mega competitive against each other all the time, and honestly, used to just like we had a big backyard growing up. We used to just love ripping in the backyard and racing our dog or racing each other. So that's sort of where the passion just for like trying to be fast and trying to make your body run fast came from. And then I think it was grade two, or no, it was grade one. I saw the Harrier team, they called it at the time. They were
Yeah.
practicing around the school, just doing laps, and I wasn't old enough to do the cross country team at the time, but I was like driving with my dad. He picked us up from school, and I was like, "Do you think this is something I could do one day?" My parents were super supportive always, and they're like, "No, give it a shot when you're of age." So I just that always stuck with me. And then when it came time to be of age to actually join a team, join the school team with a bunch of friends, and like I think always having friends around to do it with, and meet new ones, that kept it fun for me. And then it just sort of fueled a passion to be competitive in that space, to travel in that space, to meet new friends. So yeah, I mean, I love working hard, love being competitive, but I think the other things that like running brought me also kept me coming back.
That's interesting because I came into running quite late. I did the cross country thing because it was mandatory in elementary school, high school, and grade 12. My parents didn't want me to play football that year, to focus on grades and getting into university. So I would have gone stir crazy if I didn't do anything. Joined the cross country team, was terrible. My very first meet, the rest of my teammates were convinced that I was crying when I was running out there. I don't remember, but a lot of suffering along the way. But it wasn't until I was in grad school that I connected with a really core group of runners, and it made it fun. I mean, endurance sports and running, you suffer, and intervals are difficult, and going fast is difficult, regardless of the distance. And yeah, those guys made it a lot of fun, and made it just something that I really wanted to do, because I was a big team sports guy. I mean, you're a big guy, you're tall, you're muscular. Why would you move to running? Which, I mean, again, who runs? It's usually the smaller people who can't make the other teams versus somebody with obvious athleticism like yourself.
Yeah, I think my parents were runners growing up. They were more like just recreational runners doing it to stay fit. Um, but like just biking next to them and seeing them do it sort of gravitated me towards it. And then I think that general interest of wanting to race and be competitive, they put me in a couple road races, and then I think it really grew my interest for it and sort of allowed me to sort of put into concept, like how good could I get through training or being part of a track club and pursuing it. But honestly, basketball was my first love. I love basketball, but
Got
again,
a feeling.
I was a short guy back then. I wasn't a big guy by any means. So it was a short-lived dream. I love the sport, still do. But yeah, I think running was the first thing I actually saw success in. And when you see success in something and you enjoy it, you're with your friends,
Yep.
it does keep you coming back. So I think yeah, it was easy to stick with it just because it was everything I knew. I was getting success from it for the first time, and I was seeing year after year improvements, and the training and stuff and the concepts and moving my body that way made sense for me. It sort of, yeah, just fit my overall enjoyment and fit my body type, I think, too.
Interesting. Well, I was wondering, like, success kind of breeds interest, and with more success, you pour yourself more into something, and then success tends to compound on itself. So, do you remember your first early races? You said you were successful straight out of the gate. What did that look like, and what age were you when you were racing?
First ever race was grade two. Wasn't actually allowed to be a part of the team, like to be competitive or race
Sure.
at any meet, but they had a division where they had a bunch of grade twos that wanted to eventually join the team in grade three.
Yeah.
Come to the first race and do it. It was just like, I don't know, it was in a backfield close to our grade school, and there was actually a dirt bike that led the race.
Oh, cool.
So my goal was like chase this dirt bike as close as I could. And my grandma before the race said, like, pretend there's a tiger chasing you. So just I always envisioned that. I was pretending a tiger was going to be right on my butt, trying to nip it, and I was just trying to sprint as fast as I could. So I think that concept probably still runs true today because I positive split quite a few races. So I probably get out of the gate thinking there's a tiger on my butt and gas out a little bit early. But yeah, I mean, that was sort of where I first found enjoyment from it in grade two. And then I think every year from then I would do races, see my times come down, and then like just keep coming back because it's just I had great coaches, I had great mentors, I had other athletes I aspired to be like, and then I'd always turn on track and field on TV and sort of see the best of the best duke it out, whether that was at the Olympics or World Championships. So I wanted to be like them and see how far I could actually take it, even from a young age.
Well, that's exceptional. All right, so high school, any notable achievements in high school? I mean, you would have run, were you guys part of WASA? Definitely
Uh,
would have been part of OFSA,
yeah, so WEXA,
Ontario.
SWAS, regionals, and then OFSA. So there, yeah, three stages to make it to OFSA. I would say Southwestern Ontario, probably some of the most competitive racing before OFSA. Pretty close to equivalent to the OFSA competition, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And just trying to make it out of those regions, it was very difficult. So you're racing some of the top guys, and you always have to be on your A game. I think
Yeah.
my best high school achievement would have been I raced Brandon McBride, who was Canadian Olympic 800 runner, Canadian 800 record holder. And I remember in grade 12, I think my PB at the 400 was 50 point at the time, and we went out for the first 400 of an 851, and that was where I
Wow.
saw like it hurt a lot. Don't get me wrong, but
This
I
is
think
grade
that
12.
yeah, that's where I started seeing like like you can hang with these guys. You gotta go to unknown territory to see if you can hang there. And that was the first time I really committed to a really really hard pace, and just went after it. And God, did it hurt? It hurt a lot. But yeah, just every time you keep pushing the envelope further and further, you just know how much more you can handle and how much more your body can take.
Gotcha. So successful in high school. You picked Windsor, hometown university. Any other reason? I mean, they've got a pretty awesome indoor stadium there to train in, facility.
Yeah, my high school coach, he made me go through every single D1 program for months and fill out the recruiting questionnaire. So I was in contact with probably 20 to 25 different D1 schools that I was interested in and they were interested in me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Windsor made sense to me though. It was hometown. They had one of the best track and field programs in Canada. This border city school, so we often competed in NCAA meets. And then they had Melissa Bishop, who Canadian record holder in the 800. So
Yeah.
Dennis, our coach, had tons of success, and it just made sense to make the transition as a 17-year-old to university as easy as possible, and seeing them have success, good academic programs, and then being close to family, which is super important to me. It
Mhm.
just made sense to stay home and compete for the Lancers.
Yeah, that's awesome. So where did the university career take you?
So yeah, the university career, that sort of, it showed me like hard training. I got to have a lot of great training partners over the years, and it took me to 6 national teams, some as a junior, some as a senior. So went to Colombia, Costa Rica, been to Africa, been
With the
to
Canadian national team.
Taiwan. Yeah, so all with the Canadian national team. Been to high altitude camps in Flagstaff, Arizona. Um, so yeah, I've just been very fortunate to see a lot of great places through sticking with athletics.
Hmm.
Like Dennis also taught us the luxury of travel through athletics. So it's not necessarily a sport where you're going to get paid, I don't know, $40 million contract or whatnot, but the
Hmm.
ability to see the world is absolutely priceless, and something I definitely got addicted to and still enjoy today.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So in college you were racing 800. That was your distance?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I was fortunate to race a lot of good US athletes. We went to Akron, Ohio quite often.
Okay.
Raced Clayton Murphy, who's one of the best 800-meter runners in the world, and especially in the States. Um, so yeah, it was an awesome opportunity being at Windsor. You're racing the Canada's best, but you're also racing some of the best in the US, just from having a 3-hour trip down the road to some of the most
Mhm.
competitive universities in the nation. And yeah, I mean, met some of my best friends. So it's been a summer full of weddings, and some of my best friends have got married, and they were teammates on
Yeah,
on my
all answers.
college team. Yeah.
Cool. So why 800? I mean, that's not that any of them are easy, but 800 to me seems mentally difficult. I can will myself around the track, not anywhere close to as fast as you do for 400, because I know it's like one turn left, three turns left, whatever it is. But, you know, being in that red zone and having to do that lap again and still try and hold it there. You know, the longer races have always just played better for me because of who I am and the training and everything else. But you know, it's kind of like that slow burn where, you know, you duke it out in the early stages or have a little bit of different strategy and then try and turn it on at the back. You'd talk positive split, you know, ideally when you're racing marathon and ultras, you're negative splitting. If anything, I mean, the data strongly supports that, you know,
Hmm.
the ultra champions are negative split or even split type races. So yeah, 800's tough. Why'd you stick with that versus, you know, something different, a little bit longer? Yeah, I mean, Mo Farah just world championships right now, another 6 in the 10K. I didn't follow to see how he did in the 5, but you know, do you think a longer race might suit you there?
Yeah, I think like my skill set, my body type, I didn't necessarily pick the 800. It sort of picked me. I was actually in grade 9. I did longer track stuff. So 3,000 meter was the longest distance in high school on the track.
Okay.
And like, I think grade 10, I hit a huge growth spurt. And then for some reason, my wheels came around, and I got a lot speedier. So I
Mm-hmm.
think going from grade 9 to grade 10, I saw success in the 800. And then that's when I just decided to stick with it and see it through as long as I could, until I eventually hit like a plateau for a couple of years. So was still running like 147 year after year after year. And I think a breakthrough was there, but I also wanted to give myself a chance to see how well I could do in the 1500, which is primarily what I do now. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the 800 is not something I necessarily chose. It's just it sort of, it came to me. I started running better at it, and then I just decided to stick with it. But it's a grueling event. It hurts the entire time. It's just under 2 minutes of pure pain the entire time. So it's a true short suffer. But yeah, I think probably the highest amount of lactic you'll ever feel in a race.
Yeah, not quite a sales pitch for people listening in, I don't think.
No, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, but I feel like it's also something like that's unique to feel. You would never necessarily feel that kind of pain or suffering in any other event.
It's a good burn, healthy burn.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so where are you right now in terms of your training life cycle? Like we're going to dive into the beer miling very, very soon, but I want to know where you are today. I know you've recently purchased a house. Life's turning up aces all over for you. So are you still running hard? Do you still have ambitions to compete at the national, international level? Um, yeah, give me a quick update there.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously with the house stuff, it has been a bit busy, and then unfortunately we'll chat about this soon, I'm sure. But after the beer mile, I lost my shoe in July during that race and chewed my foot up and damaged it pretty severely. So
Oh,
unfortunately, I was going to do nationals about a month ago in Burnaby, but was not able to make that trip.
really?
Yeah, ambition wise, and fitness wise, was definitely looking forward to and fit enough to do something. Definitely at a personal best in the 1500 in the legs, but yeah, I still have ambition to keep training, continue to see through the next year of track and field,
Mhm.
and would like to pursue that Olympic team. Right now, I'm just coming back right now, so I've been running for about give or take a month and a bit, but I haven't done any workouts since June. I did a 5K road race just to see where I was at on the weekend, and I think it was 14:28 was the finishing time. So just the strength fitness is still there, which is
Hmm.
good. And now we can just hopefully build off this, expand off it, and continue to get more fit.
Man, 14. Those days are long gone for me to work towards something like that. Um, but what happened to the foot then? Yeah, I followed the beer mile. I saw a shoe came off first lap. Somebody stepped on the back of your shoe or something early on. So what was it? The track? Just what, you blistered your foot or?
Yeah, so like 50 meters in the race, lost my shoe. There's a British runner that stepped on my back of my Achilles, unfortunately, and then the shoe just went under my heel, lasted 2 steps, flew off. And then I'm wearing carbon spikes, so the one foot has tons of pop. I'm just like really high on that foot. The other one's lower, and it's just slapping the ground. I supinate quite a bit, so land on the
Yeah.
outside of my foot, and it just like literally cut an L out of my foot. So there's just missing skin, just complete flesh, and then just bruised and blistered down the side. So yeah, I was forced to take some time off. It's kind of unfortunate because it's for a beer mile at the end of the day, and it's not the primary focus, but
Yeah.
you just expect things like that to happen.
Pure randomness right there. But wow. Yeah, I don't think many of us think how intense beer mile is aside from the vomiting during or afterwards in
Yeah.
terms of unpleasantness. But all right, let's talk beer mile. I know it's a rite of passage for most track teams in college, hopefully not in high school, but I'm not going to delude myself as well that it might start there. When and where did you do your first beer mile and how did that all enter your life?
Yeah, it would have been first year university, or sorry, it would have been second year university, right after the cross country season. Tried it for the first time, and I think I ran 5:28 my first time, and everyone was telling me to take it easy because they thought it was going to come back up. But although it was uncomfortable, it felt easier than everyone sort of made it out to be. Didn't revisit it for 2 more years. And then they started having world championships during that time that I
Mhm.
didn't think about it, didn't touch it. And I was like, the world record at the time, I think was just under 5 minutes. I think it was 4:48. And I was confident that I had the chugging ability, had the stomach, had the run ability to beat that record. So
Yeah.
more or less we went to the track 2016, just after my one of my best 800-meter seasons. So still holding some fitness there. And
Mhm.
buddy of mine just decided to bring a six pack over. He's like, okay, we're gonna try it before it gets dark. We're gonna film it. We're gonna see what happens. There's no ambition to necessarily like have anything come out of it other than to beat the record, more of a personal achievement. And then yeah, beat the record. Was on a flight 24 hours later for a competition in England, and a whirlwind of beer mile competitions started coming year after year after that. So
That's wild.
yeah, keeps keeps things fun, keeps things light, and I mean, I know the media takes it as that's my primary focus, but it's just a side little thing that keeps life fun.
Yeah, no, it's I mean it's amazing. You don't tie those two skill sets together, but you know, it's cool when they do come together like that. All right, so
Nor
you time
nor
trial.
would I, nor would I recommend you to ever put them together. They're meant to be separate.
I hear you. So you time trialed your first beer mile randomly one evening, by yourself. Your buddy filmed it. What beer did you drink?
It was a beer. So he went to the LCBO, which is our government controlled
Hmm.
liquor store here, and he asked the lady, he's like, I need a smooth beer that's 355 milliliters, 5%, easy to chug. And she was like cross-eyed looking at him, like, what are you talking about? But she found a beer called Kingfisher, which not a lot of people probably ever heard about. But it's usually prepared with like Indian food and spicy curry dishes.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, that was the beer I used for the first 6 months of starting the beer mall, and then eventually transitioned to Flying Monkeys, which is my current beer sponsor and beer of choice.
Nice, nice. And is that a lager, ale, pilsner?
It's an amber, so yeah, the an amber ale, which it goes down smooth. It's full, but it's not too full, and it tastes half decent going down.
Nice. Yeah, I went through a period of enjoying craft beer, but I don't know. I've grown out of it, and now whenever I'm at a restaurant and order a beer, it's like if you were to give a beer to a child, what would that be? You can get that one from me.
So
So yeah,
you must like sours or cervezas or stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, my wife Chanel just shakes her head because usually it's a bud, um, or you know something simple like that, Coors Banquet. But yeah, I'm not fancy when it comes to picking my beer. But it's nice to know there is a science behind it. So, all right, we've got how you started in the beer mile. Within what do you say, 24, 48 hours, you were on an airplane overseas to what was the World Beer Mile Championship at the time.
Correct. Yeah.
Set the course record. And fun fact, which I'm sure you know, Jim Finlayson
Yeah.
used to hold the beer mile world record. Another Canadian. He's actually a Londoner and ex track star as well, and
Hmm.
still, great coach. Not that I've ever worked with him, but very familiar with his legacy as well. And Reed Coolsat and I chatted about that stuff too. So it's funny how it all kind of comes full circle, and it's a very very small world in these
Oh,
communities.
everyone's connected for sure. It's like one or 2 degrees of separation.
Yeah. So with beer miling now, what's next? How many events do you see yourself doing in the next 6, 8 months? Is it gonna help you and your fiance, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, travel somewhere warm for the over the winter. Gonna help pay for a
Uh,
holiday or what?
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, uh, they have one a year, so every year it's in a new spot. They've done them in like Manchester, Belgium, San Francisco, Berlin. So I think they're talking about doing one in Australia or Paris next year. So that'd be in October of next year. We're actually trying right now. We have some meetings with the University of Windsor facility attendants or facility manager, sorry, and two of the coaches there. So we're actually going to try and spin it so it's in Windsor. So we're trying to get
Really?
our ducks in a row and host it possibly in Windsor because I think community wise and sponsorship wise, engagement wise, I think it's the right fit. So if that happens, that's awesome. If not, we'll probably head somewhere warm or warmer.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we also my fiance and I we actually we'll drop them soon, but we actually just created some beer mile branded teas, which are
Oh,
they're
cool.
they're pretty sweet. So yeah, just a couple fun projects on the way, and we'll donate some of the proceeds to the Humane Society, which we've rescued 2 dogs from there. So just a fun
Awesome.
little passion project and something to keep us busy.
That's great. So how big is the beer mile scene?
Uh, the people that always keep coming back to the competitions, it's a small little community of people. But I mean the engagement and viewership that keeps coming along is getting bigger and bigger. I think with a reel we posted right after the beer mile this year, I think it was 12 million views and like blew up on Instagram, TikTok. So people are interested in it for some reason. So there's something there, but yeah, I mean, in terms of the actual live stream, I think that had probably it was 250,000 live streamers watching
Wow.
it.
I would like watching that on TikTok much more than I'd like watching people dance. So keep up
Yeah.
the good work there. So in Canmore, actually, another one of our ambassadors, longtime Stoked Oats ambassador, Andy Reid. He's a sports doc in Canmore, and he created a trail running group every Thursday night. Go out and hammer intervals, but I mean it's trail and ultra focused, and man, this has been going for somewhere around 5-6 years now. But they've been having a trail beer mile every year. Gets 50 to 100 people out, some in costume. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, I think there's certainly a community out there that just incorporates it into the year end party and throws the beer mile in. But what makes it funny though is that it's never a party that goes to 2 a.m. because once these people run the beer mile, like
Yeah,
got
you're
an
done.
hour in them at most, and then it's somebody's designated drivers taking them home because they're done if they've been able to hold it in. So this is getting on a little the gross side of the subject though, but the difficulty with beer miling is the carbonation in the stomach and then the nausea. You don't seem to have that problem. What secrets are there that you'd want to share? Or is it just purely genetics?
Honestly, I think it dates back to just track club practice at 6 p.m. My parents led pretty busy lives, and it was like before practice, whether you like it or not. So, had big dinners, head straight to practice, and try your best to rip a workout and feel as comfortable as you possibly can doing it.
Yeah.
Eventually, your stomach's going to get stronger and get used to it, or it's going to reject it. But either way, you got to sort of deal with whatever comes your way. And I think that's the same with the beer mile. You never really know how your stomach's going to handle it. But I think from those years of track practice on a full stomach, I think I've learned to like handle whatever's in my stomach pretty well.
Wow. Running hard in a stomach full of mashed potatoes and peas. No, thank you. So what's your world record at right now? And what do you see in terms of ways to improve on that, if that's indeed what you want to do?
Yeah, so it's 4 minutes 28 seconds. As long as I keep getting more fit and running, I don't think there's any reason it can't go faster.
Mhm.
That's my primary focus. I don't train for the beer aspect of things. I
Yeah.
just pray that on race day it doesn't come up, or yeah, I pray that the beers go down a little smoother than the next time. So I think the pinnacle of it's probably 420 or just under. I don't know how much faster it could get possibly from there.
Wow. That's incredible. I mean, just because that's four beer, right?
Yeah, 4 beers. It's 3 pounds of beer in your stomach by the end of the race, and a shitload of carbonation, which is not comfortable at all.
Oh man. I think at this stage I'd be happy to break 10 minutes. But okay. So we're starting to think about fun things to do for Stoked Oats in 2024. And I've had this one on the radar forever. I mean, you can run a beer mile, but can you run an oatmeal mile?
I think I could do it.
I think that's what we need to work towards. But it's got to be like a triple header. I don't want to just do a one-off, right? We're going to have a beer mile. We should have the oatmeal mile. I don't know which comes first. Maybe it's not even on the same day. And then we have to have a trail beer mile or trail something mile. How's your trail running?
It's mediocre, I would say. We unfortunately don't have too many trail options in Windsor, Ontario. They're pretty beginner level, but I think actually when I was there in Calgary last time I saw you there, we did one of the recommended KOMs that you suggested. I
Yeah,
think a 10-mile hike with just under 900 meters of elevation.
might have been
Um,
Corey Edith. I'm trying to remember which one it would have been. Was it near
yeah,
Banff?
it was closer to Canmore, I believe, though.
Mm.
Anyways, we absolutely crushed that hike, and I think we had achieved a KOM. We were floating down at like 250 something kilometers, absolutely hammering. I think it was decent in that during that time, but I also got a stress fracture a month later. So who knows what prompted it, right?
We'll keep it flatter this time. Okay. Well, this is something that we need to develop because I want to see how nasty it is for an oatmeal mile, and I'll definitely participate in that. But it won't be anywhere near the 4 or 5 minute mark. But I'll put in an honest effort, and we'll leave the heroics for you. But I do have an old buddy of mine, Hunter McIntyre, who's Mr. Strength and Muscles, and he's been talking about beer miling. So we might have to assemble a motley crew for this triple header.
You can do you guys can form a relay team, and then
Oh,
and I'll have to do it the whole entire beer mile against you guys doing the relay.
oh God, this is shameful that that's what my life has come to. I used to be able to do things. No, that's great. All right, let's keep talking about that. Okay, so what's up next for the next few months? You've got your foot's better. You've resumed training for the last, well, you started running again for the last few weeks, but you're going to be building workouts back in, or I mean, I'd even ask, you working full time? And if so, how are you juggling everything?
Yeah, we're working 3 jobs. So I work race roster Monday to Friday, inside sales for race roster,
Hmm.
which is an online registration and fundraising company that's owned by ASICS, and then
Hmm. Oh, it's
working
owned
around.
by ASICS. I did not
Yeah,
know.
yeah. So we got acquired by ASICS in 2018, and then work run specialty store on weekends, and then coach for St. Clair College during the fall. So yeah, busy a little bit, but keeps it fun, and it keeps my training and athletics. It makes it feel like a hobby, which I enjoy and appreciate. I think next athletic wise is I'll do a 5K. I think in Detroit there's a few 5Ks over in Michigan, so it's only 15 minutes across the border.
Hmm.
Just some fun ones, and then I'm hoping, truly hoping to get into triathlon at the end of this year or early next. So
Into triathlon.
yeah, so I was before the beer mile, I was swimming 4 times a week, biking 2 times a week. So just starting to like get a base for that kind of training.
Hmm.
It was seemingly going quite well, and then the beer mile happened, so I had to take a step back. But I do want to expand on what I was doing there.
Maybe they could create the triathlon one where you drink a beer before the swim, drink a beer before the bike,
Mhm.
drink a beer before the run. I don't know.
Sounds awful though. Yeah, anytime you combine athletics and drinking, it does not sound appealing. But I mean, if there's a trip, or if there's some sort of financial support to accommodate that suffering, um, that's the part that helps.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Oh man. Well, hey, congrats on the success there, and I'm glad to hear that your foot's healed and you're getting back in action for it. And we'll keep chatting and see if we can pull together this triple header oatmeal, beer, and trail mile
Sounds good.
competition.
I'm game. I'm always down for competition, whether it's running in the backyard with the dog, or scarfing down some oatmeal against you guys.
Nice. All righty. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Corey, and all the best with the busy life and the new house and wedding planning as well. So
Thank you. Appreciate it.
yeah,
Yeah. Nice chatting with you, Simon. And thanks for all you.
likewise. Oh, our pleasure. Okay. Well, take care and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. See you guys later.
Awesome.